Good day everyone, this is Jean Tunyakaw, and for today's video, I will be going to discuss about the policies and issues on internet and implication to teaching and learning. So now let's start.
Globalization is a reality and ICT has become a fundamental part of the process. A network society is one in which the entire planet is organized around telecommunication networks of computers. So, powerful use of network has broken boundaries, provided opportunities for inclusion and collaboration. And as the Department of Information, Communication and Technology, or what we call DICT, says the future has arrived, now we have to ensure that we have a place in it. However, there will also be a struggle for those who do not have access or those who are excluded, marginalized, and powerless. Thus, a need to establish policies in the use of ICT is imperative. And now, let's proceed to the definition of ICT policy. The Oxford English Dictionary has defined policy as a course of action adopted and pursued by a government, party, ruler, and statesman. It is any course of action adopted as expedient or advantageous. Its operational definition of policy is a plan of action to guide decisions and outcomes. And now let's proceed to the new ICT technologies. More recent technological innovations increase the reach and speed of communications, which can be grouped into three categories. The first category is the information technology. Information technology includes the use of computers, which has become indispensable in modern societies to process data and save time and effort. What are needed will be computer hardware and peripherals, software and for the users, and computer literacy. The second category is the telecommunication technologies. Telecommunication technologies include telephones or with fax, and the broadcasting of radio and television, often through satellites. Telephone system, radio, and TV broadcasting are needed in this category. And the third category is the networking technologies. The best known of networking technologies is Internet, but has extended to mobile phone technology, Voice over Internet Protocol or VoIP, satellite communications, and other forms of communications are still in their infancy. So those are the three categories of the teach and speed of communications. And now, let's move on to the ICT roadmap. In our country, the Department of Information and Communication Technology, or DICT, has formulated a roadmap to guide all agencies in the utilization, regulation, and enhancement of ICT. Each project has corresponding policy statements and guidelines. So, the ICT for Education or ICT4E is a program under the DICT that supports all the efforts of the education sector in incorporating the use of ICT as well as in determining and gaining access to the infrastructure, hardware, software, telecommunications facilities, and others, which are necessary to use and deeply learning technologies at all levels of education. Among the policy recommended programs, there are 7 policy recommended that have applications to education, teaching, learning. The first one is ICT in Education Master Plan for all levels, including a national roadmap for faculty development in ICT and education, A national framework plan for ICTs in basic education was developed. The second policy is the Content and Application Development through the Open Content and Education Initiative or OCEI, which converts deep ed materials into interactive multimedia content, develop applications used in schools, and conduct students and teachers competitions to promote the development of education-related web content. The third policy is the FeedNet. It is a walled garden that hosts educational learning and teaching materials and applications for use by the Filipino students, their parents, and teachers. All public high schools will be part of this network with only DepEd approved multimedia applications, materials, and mirrored internet sites accessible from schools' PCs. The fourth policy is the established community e-learning centers called Eskwela for out-of-school youth or USY, providing them with ICT-enhanced alternative education opportunities. The fifth policy is the Equality Program for Tertiary Education through partnerships with state universities and colleges or SUCS to improve quality of IT education and the use of ICT in education in the country, particularly outside of Metro Manila. The sixth policy is the Digital Media Arts Program, which builds digital media skills for government using open source technologies. Particular beneficiary agencies include the Philippine Information Agency and the other government media organizations, the Cultural Center of the Philippines, National Commission for Culture and Arts, and other government art agencies, state universities and colleges, and other local government units. And the last policy is the ICT Skills Strategic Plan, which develops an interagency approach to identifying strategic and policy and program recommendation to address ICT skills, demand, supply, type. And those are the 7 policies. All the 7 programs were guided by the roadmap that embeds policy statements that relate to education, especially in the enhancement of human development for teaching and learning. There are some issues on ICT and Internet policy and regulations. One of the issues is the global issues. Global issues, access, and civil liberties are 2 sets of issues in ICT policy which are crucial to the modern society. The other concern is civil liberties, which refer to human rights and freedom. These include freedom of expression, the right to privacy, the right to communicate, and intellectual property rights. And also, it can access of the use of internet and ICT. Access means the possibility for everyone to use the internet and other media. In richer countries, basic access to internet is almost available to all with faster broadband connections. There are still countries where access to internet is still a challenge. The issue number 1 is the freedom of expression and censorship. Under International Human Rights Convention, all people are guaranteed the rights for free expression. However, with the shift from communicating through letter, newspapers, and public meetings to electronic communications and online networking, a need to look into how those new means modifies the understanding of freedom of expression and censorship. The UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights provides that everyone has the right to freedom of thoughts, conscience, and religion, likewise the right to freedom of opinion and expression. However, there are practices that violate these provisions in the use of internet. There are some examples. Number 1, individual rights are given up in order to have access to electronic networks. Microsoft Networks or MSN contracts provide protection of individuals. However, Microsoft reserves the rights in its sole direction to terminate access to any or all MSN sites or services. Number 2, censorship restricts the transmission of information by blocking it or filtering the information. Blocking is preventing access to whole areas of internet address, location, or email address, while filtering is sifting the packets of data or messages as they move across computer networks and eliminating those considered undesirable materials. Number 3, defamation actions may be used to silence critics. This action deters the freedom of expression. And now let's proceed to the issue number 2, which is the privacy and security. Privacy policies are an issue. Most commercial sites have a privacy policy. When someone uses a site and clicks "I agree," it is as if you have turned over private information to any authority that may access it. There are several types of privacy as shown by the following examples. The first one is foremost. Privacy means personal privacy, the right of individuals not to have their home, private life, or personal life interfered with. The second one is the privacy of communication, refers to the protection from interference with communication over the phone or internet. So, respect of privacy of communication is an essential prerequisite for the maintenance of human relationship via technological communications media. The third one is the information privacy. It is related to the use of computers and communication systems which are able to hold and process information about large numbers of people at a high speed. So, it is important to ensure that information will only be used for purposes for which it was gathered and will not be disclosed to others without consent of the individuals. And now let's proceed to the issue number 3, the surveillance and data retention. The use of electronic communications has enhanced the development of indirect surveillance. There is no direct contact between the agent and the subject of surveillance, but evidence of activities can be traced. The new and powerful form of indirect surveillance is the data surveillance. So, the difference between data surveillance and the surveillance is data surveillance is the use of personal information to monitor a person's activities, while data retention is the storage and use of information from communication system. So, there is very little that can be done to prevent surveillance. What can be done is to change the methods of working to make surveillance difficult. This is called counter-surveillance or information security, if it refers to computers and electronic communication. And now let's proceed to the issue number 4, which is the e-pollutants from e-waste. Large amount of e-waste is generated by ICT. These are particular terminal equipments used for computing or PCs, laptops, broadcasting or television and radio sets, telephony or fixed and mobile phones, and peripherals or fax machine, printers, and scanners. The difference between the accumulated e-waste And the material waste is that accumulated e-waste is due to rapid turnover of equipment due to rapid improvement of software, while material waste can be destroyed by crushing. Toxic material growth about the different equipment requires utmost management. And the quantities of e-waste are increasing in both developed and developing countries. A very dismal state is that there is a significant amount of electronic waste that has been shipped from industrial countries to developing countries using less environmentally responsible procedure. Remedies include standardization and regulatory measures to increase the life cycle of equipment before they become obsolete. Efficient extraction of toxic components and requiring the recycling by both consumers and equipment vendors are sealing must be required by the different equipment requires utmost management. And now let's proceed to the implications to teaching and learning. There are great implications of this lesson to both the teachers who are teaching and the learners who are learning. A few of these are the follows. For the teachers and teaching, guide the teachers on what they should teach that relate to ICT and how to teach it. Since ICT development comes so rapid and fast, teachers might be overwhelmed by its rapid speed. Temperance in its use is a caution that should be looked at. Technology should never replace any human teacher. The tools are support instructional materials for the teachers, which are available for use. The teacher should learn how to appropriately use them. The human touch of the teacher is still a vital component in teaching. Teachers should always be reminded that there are always limitations in the use of the different gadgets and tools. There are rules and regulations that govern the use of technology. Caution should be observed to protect individual privacy. As a teacher, you must be aware that the use of technology may jeopardize your privacy and security. All the issues and many more shall be part of the teaching content, as each teacher will be encouraged to use technology in teaching. And for the learners and learning, the learners of the 21st century are even more advanced than some of the teachers. However, learners still need guidance on how to regulate technology use, as there are positive and negative effects of technology use. Learners should know the difference. Learners should not only know the benefits of technology use, but they should also know how they can protect it from the hazards that technology brings to their lives. And also, the learners should take advantage of the potential of learning support they can derive, such as the development of higher order thinking skills, the development of learning communities through collaboration, the enhancement of skills to manage the valid resources as 21st century learners, and many more. Both teachers and learners should be mindful of the e-waste that are being thrown away to the land and to the atmosphere. In this lesson, we have to be aware of some issues and implications of technology that might be applicable for using technology. After this topic was discussed and explained, I realized that technology is very important to us as a part of our lives. That's all. Thank you and God bless.